Students, parents, and city leaders gathered outside of DOE headquarters today, calling on the city's top educators to do better, saying they get an F for failing to provide technology to 77,000 students here in New York City who are struggling the most. The city's commitment to leave no child behind is failing.
Why my children don't have the tablet? Why my children being left behind?
Lorna Leiter is a Brooklyn mom of 3 whose kids still do not have learning devices for remote learning.
They're reaching out to them when COVID started. Where is it? I fought the waters to get an education. I want my children to have an education.
Data released at a city council hearing Friday shows 77,000 New York City public school students who live in public housing and city shelters still do not have tablets or Wi-Fi.
The only thing worse than 77,000 kids that we know of not having a device right now for learning is entering this school year knowing that thousands of children still do not have a device.
A passionate Mark Traeger, councilman and chair of the city's education committee, joined other city leaders, parents, students, and advocates outside of DOE headquarters Sunday, calling for an end to the digital divide.
Every child we fail to educate is a child that's potentially would be incarcerated.
The instructional loss that our kids are facing, this pain and loss, quickly shifts from temporary to generational.
Schools Chancellor Richard Carranza Friday.
I think that is probably one of the most articulate arguments for why we have to have in-person learning, because we know that the children that have been disproportionately impacted continue to be disproportionately impacted.
Recent data also shows 25% of city schools where there's a majority of Black and brown students suffer low attendance rates. Only 20% of New York City public school parents whose kids are enrolled in blended learning have signed COVID-19 consent forms, which allows their kids to randomly be tested while at school buildings. And 52% of New York City public students are enrolled in remote learning.
Many immigrant families still do not have a device because of the structure that the DOE and City Hall created on how to obtain a device, created a barrier for them.
New York City students at the center of the city's educational crisis.
I'm afraid of him not passing.
And we are still waiting to learn more on how the city plans on helping those 77,000 New York City public school students with remote learning this school year.